Hi, I'm Dr. Sandra Parker. In my new book, Embracing Unrest, Harness Vulnerability to Tame Anxiety and Spark Growth, I guess what I want to start with is people do ask me, what do I mean by growth? What are we growing? What am I talking about with growth? And I think to begin to answer the question, I'd like to just go over some questions in my own mind that came up when I thought about this question of growth. For example, I'd like you to reflect on these questions inside yourself. Are you free to follow your dreams, to take risks, or are you hampered by self-doubt? Do you hold yourself back? Can you stay present in the moment? Or are you tormented with worry or regret or a frantic need to keep busy? Do you feel like you have to have certainty and control in order to cope in your day-to-day life? Do you feel like you're able to tolerate the inevitable ambiguity of life, the uncertainty, the impermanence of things? Do you have a sense of comfort with that? Or does it feel threatening to you? What about asking for help? Do you feel that that's easy for you to reach out? Or do you feel weak when you ask for help? When you bump up against your own vulnerability, do you go into a self-attack or criticism? Or does it feel okay with you to be human and need support sometimes? Does it seem to you that you ought to feel more joy than you do on a regular basis? Or do you feel free to laugh and cry and live your life fully? I have lots more questions. This is something that I think about a lot. But my invitation to you when I'm talking about growth is these kinds of questions that really deeply explore your freedom to live with abundance and aliveness and ease. You know, a lot of the work I do with people is about dissolving blocks to experiencing fully so that people are not suffering. But my deep aim is to help people grow, to have lives that feel full and authentic and rich. And I believe that all of us are wired. We come into life with a longing, a hunger, a wiring, calling us to emerge into all that we're deeply meant to be. And we don't make that happen. We come in with this drive to become, to emerge. Growth is not the same as learning. Growth is an organic process that comes out of experiences that we have, that we feel in our bodies and reflect on in our minds. This is challenging for some people because, even with self-help, my book is a self-help book, but I'm very clear that reading a book isn't going to do anything to help you grow. It will give you insight, and that's wonderful. Insight lights the path, but growth emerges out of putting on your boots and walking on that path. So what that means is having experiences in your body that you reflect on in your mind that require your brain to run new pathways so that you can live in a different way, not just see things in a different way, but actually open yourself to experience things in a different way. And so that's what growth is. It's an organic process. It's not the same as learning. It's not the same as making a change. We can make changes, but they often don't stick if we haven't grown a capacity to hold the change. I can go on and on about growth because it's really my thing. But if I could just switch here and talk about what it is you're actually growing, there are 3 capacities that I think are absolutely central to our well-being. And the first one's authenticity. Authenticity is a word that we use a lot, and probably you have an intuitive sense of what authenticity means. When I talk about authenticity, I'm referring to an experience of feeling as though what's going on inside you is available to you, that you have an accurate read inside yourself of the flow of what's going on, and that you have the freedom, if you choose, to express that experience of yourself. So you have an awareness of your inner experience, and you have the freedom, if you choose, to share that experience with others, to express it. And that the experience and the expression are congruent. And that's the feeling that we have when we feel like we're really ourselves, that we're not curating or editing or needing to shut down or compartmentalize part of our experience, that we are free to have access to everything inside of ourselves. There's no no-go zones inside of yourself. You're free to experience and express. It's kind of something that we really like about other people when we sense they're authentic. We feel more comfortable and more free to be our authentic selves with them. The second valuable growth goal would be resilience. Resilience is kind of the holy grail of mental health research. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from difficulty. Life is full of difficulty. That's just the hard thing about being human. There are losses and limits and frustrations and disappointments and pain. That won't ever not be true. But how are we in the face of those experiences? Do we collapse? Do we implode? Do we explode? Do we fall apart? Do we give up hope? People who are resilient recognize when there's a dead end in front of them, and they can reorient themselves to another path. The experience of resilience is sort of the how-to of living life with flexibility and creativity and a sense of, I can do this even though it's hard. The third thing we're growing is the capacity to connect intimately with others. And that capacity for closeness with others is actually dependent on our ability to be close with ourselves. Our ability to connect and be present with the inner truth of other people is hinged on how much of our own inner experience we can bear. All of these capacities, authenticity, resilience, and connection, arise out of experiences of emotion that stir us in our bodies, that we can feel physically and observe in our minds. Being able to do that is the work of being human and the joy of being human, really. The difficulty is that all of that is vulnerable, and vulnerability is heralded by a spike in our nervous system that I call unrest. And our ability to feel unrest, to recognize it, to differentiate it from other experiences that feel similar but actually are quite different, to prize unrest, to embrace it as a friend, as a call to growth. That is, well, it's at the heart of my book, it's at the heart of my work with individuals, and I hope, as a result of you watching these videos and perhaps getting hold of my book, I hope that it will become something that's at the heart of your journey, that your unrest is a precious, valuable signal orienting you to the optimal moment, to come home to the body, to feel what you're feeling, and use the information and energy in your emotion to grow so you can become all that you're meant to be.